Nico Hulkenberg and Max Verstappen share a strong friendship, often traveling together to Grands Prix. Though they were never teammates, Hulkenberg, who is moving from Haas F1 to Audi next season, recently revealed in an exclusive interview that he had secret talks with Red Bull. A persistent rumor was that Nico might become Max's teammate at Red Bull Racing. Was it true or false? Hulkenberg had to think hard and said, "I think there was something at the end of 2020 when Checo won his race in Bahrain. There were some discussions, but nothing was clear. When Checo won that race, he was so convincing that Red Bull couldn't ignore him. I don't think it was ever really realistic or going to happen." Nico Hulkenberg let Sergio Perez overtake him on the final lap, knowing he could pass him again. Hulkenberg, driving for Haas, said he allowed the Red Bull driver to pass after making a mistake at the exit of the last corner as they began their final lap. By reclaiming the place, Hulkenberg scored the team's best result since the same race 2 years ago. The exchange happened as Perez chased Hulkenberg over the final laps. Perez's Red Bull had side pod damage from contact with Oscar Piastri at turn 4 on the opening lap, later describing his side pod as completely destroyed from the collision. In the closing laps, Perez, on softer tyres than Hulkenberg, gained on the Haas driver and came within DRS range. At the end of the second-to-last lap, Hulkenberg touched the gravel at the final corner, allowing Perez to close in. Perez passed Hulkenberg into turn 3, but Hulkenberg used a slipstream and DRS down the run to turn 4 to sweep back down the outside of the Red Bull. Nico Hulkenberg held on to claim the position by half a second. He wasn't close enough to Verstappen to gain an advantage from the other Red Bull driver's 10-second time penalty for causing a collision with Lando Norris. However, Hulkenberg described his run from 9th on the grid to 6th as a hell of a race for him and his team. Especially at the end, it got so intense, he told the official F1 channel. But I think it was intense at the front too, with Max and Lando, so it was happening everywhere. I didn't expect to be able to keep Checo behind for that long, he admitted. But I said to myself, let's try a couple of laps and see what happens, kind of mess with his tyres a little bit. And then I saw actually, with our straight line speed, I'm able to keep him behind and at bay, and kept in it, hung in there. I was really on the edge with everything. It was touch and go. I was pushing hard to keep Checo behind, but in the last 2 laps my tyres were done with it. I almost lost the car completely out of turn 10 in a big way, went onto the gravel a bit and then had a big tank slapper. Into turn 3, I let him edge in front so I could have DRS for the next straight, which obviously put me back in front. Luckily it was the final lap, because I would not have survived another lap. It was Hulkenberg's 5th top 10 finish over the first 11 rounds of the championship and his best result for Haas since joining them in 2023. Teammate Kevin Magnussen also scored points in 8th. Hulkenberg admitted he had not expected the team to enjoy such a strong result at the Red Bull Ring. Earlier in the race, Hulkenberg wasn't happy when Haas's pit strategy put him in a direct battle with his teammate Kevin Magnussen. He made a sarcastic "great work" comment over the radio. "I think they stopped him early," he explained, "because he was under pressure and was getting undercut from, I guess, an RB, Daniel Ricciardo. The undercut is super powerful here, so obviously I wasn't so impressed with that. And I think there was a lack of instruction then afterward about what to do, because it was only 10 laps into the race, a very long 2 stints ahead of us, but yeah, that's just in the heat of the moment." Despite the pit strategy frustrations, Hulkenberg's 6th place finish was his best result and 4th point score of the 2024 season. Magnussen also gave Haas a further boost by finishing in 8th place. "I'm very happy," Hulkenberg said. "Double points for the team and in a big way. I didn't expect that, obviously 1 car out or something, but still, an amazing team performance today and this weekend. I think it's confirmed now in the midfield that we are competitive on all sorts of different tracks. We can fight everyone. And that's really great news, and I'm very happy about that. If I look in the first 10 races now, 5 times, we've been 11th. Very close, but we've been fighting in and around the top 10 everywhere. Sometimes me, sometimes Kevin. I think it's a testament to the good work we've done over the winter, and it just shows that we are competitive in the midfield. Over the winter, the team worked better than what we thought and what we think we can do. We just got positively surprised, and it's much more stable than last year. Different worlds, nothing to compare. It allows us to manage tyres to be consistent, and that's very important. Nico Hulkenberg stressed the importance of being competitive at various venues throughout the season. "You've got to be there weekend in, weekend out," he said. "Consistency in a long season is key. Also this year, we've worked much better and more efficiently to bring updates. We've steadily improved the car. That means we can keep up with the others. We've got another one coming next weekend, so I'm excited for that. Silverstone is anyway one of my favorites, so I'm looking forward to a good week." Nico Hulkenberg's current season is going exceptionally well. The German driver finished 6th in the last 2 Grands Prix, a remarkable performance with Haas. He was faster in these races than Sergio Perez, who still competed for Red Bull. Like any driver, Hulkenberg has likely wondered how he would fare as Verstappen's teammate at the Austrian stable. "It's always tough to judge from the outside," Hulkenberg said. "You don't feel the car, you don't see the car, but obviously he's in one of the best cars, and he's having a tough time, especially the last couple of weekends. I'm sure he's unhappy with what happened and where he was, but of course it would have been an interesting project to be a Red Bull driver in that car and next to Max, which is also the ultimate challenge. Max is probably the fastest driver we've had in decades. It's very tough to be next to him and be his teammate." Ralf Schumacher, former F1 driver, isn't keen on keeping Sergio Perez at Red Bull due to his recent performances. Schumacher believes Red Bull has many other options. "Red Bull has an incredibly large junior squad," Schumacher said in an interview on the YouTube channel of Formel1.de. He explained that Red Bull would struggle without Max Verstappen, as Max is taking the car where it isn't, highlighting the difficulties Perez faces now compared to when Red Bull was significantly ahead of competitors. When asked who he would like to see in Perez's seat, Schumacher mentioned Hulkenberg. He believes Hulkenberg is in a completely different league than Perez and would prefer to see the future Sauber driver next to Verstappen. Though both drivers have their seats locked in, Schumacher explains his preference for Hulkenberg, showcasing the German driver's capabilities and potential. According to Ralf Schumacher, Nico Hulkenberg would have complemented Max Verstappen far better than Sergio Perez. Hulkenberg, drives completely differently. It starts in qualifying, where he is incredibly stable. He could have supported Max Verstappen completely differently, including strategy. Now we have the problem that Max has no one as a teammate to help him, Schumacher said. Sergio Perez's pace is not enough to have him battling at the front. Schumacher is convinced that in Red Bull, Hulkenberg would be there fighting against McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes. While Perez has supported Verstappen, Hulkenberg would have been a better option at the current pace. In 2024, Hulkenberg scored 6 points, putting him 14th on the grid. He is tied with Haas reserve driver Oliver Beerman, who drove during FP1 in Spain. Ultimately, it's all about consistency, and that's what Red Bull needs. Hulkenberg has been outperforming his teammate this season and secured a seat with Sauber. He is known for his clean driving, which fans enjoy. On the other hand, Perez started the season strong but has not been consistent with his results, failing to make regular podium appearances. The upcoming races will be crucial if Red Bull wants to stay in the game for the Constructors' Championship. So, what do you think of Hulkenberg's capability? Is he better for Red Bull than Perez? Comment below and subscribe for more.